Door. Knock. Heart racing. Your best friend just ran into your house shaking. There's a man coming down the street with a gun. He's after me. Please, hide me. And whatever happens, don't tell him I'm here. You shove them into a closet, close the door, and try to breathe. 30 seconds later, knock, knock. You open the door just a little. On the porch, the killer. Cold eyes, calm voice. I'm looking for your friend. Are they in this house? Right there, your brain splits. One voice says, "Of course I lie. I want my friend to live." Another voice whispers, "Lying is wrong. I was taught to always tell the truth." So here's a dilemma for this episode. Is it ever right to lie, even to save a life? This is the famous murderer at the door scenario, later updated in people's minds as the Nazi at the door, when we think about families hiding Jews in their homes in World War II. And one of the sharpest voices in this whole debate is a guy you've heard about in other episodes, Immanuel Kant, the philosopher who said, "Never lie, ever." Kant's view, in a sentence, is brutal. It is always wrong to lie, even to a murderer at your door. He argues this in a short essay with a very honest title, On a Supposed Right to Tell Lies from Benevolent Motives. His logic goes like this. The core of your dignity is your ability to be a free, rational person. Lying attacks that. When you lie, you treat the other person as a tool, not as a mind worthy of the truth. So lying is always a violation of that dignity, even if your motive is good. And he adds one more twist. You can't control consequences. Maybe you lie to the murderer and say, "No, my friend isn't here," but they actually left your house and bumped into the killer outside. The lie accidentally sends the murderer in the right direction. In that case, Kant says you might share some responsibility. So for Kant, the rule is, tell the truth, keep your hands clean, and don't play God with outcomes. Most of us hear that and go, "Sorry, but if Nazis are at my door, I'm lying like crazy." And that reaction is exactly why this dilemma is still alive hundreds of years later. Philosophers keep revisiting it, defending Kant, attacking him, reframing the case, even using Thomas Aquinas to argue it differently. But let's bring this into our world, because your life is full of smaller versions of Nazi at the door every day. Not just Nazis, white lies, pro-social lies, and self-protection. We don't usually face murderers, but we do face. Do I tell my partner what I really think? Do I soften the truth for my friend's mental health? Do I lie on this form to keep my job? Do I hide this from my parents, my boss, my community? Psychologists talk about pro-social lies, lies told to benefit someone else, not yourself. Examples. Telling a kid you did great when the artwork isn't actually great, just to encourage them. Saying, "No, that doesn't bother me," when it does, but you're trying to protect someone's feelings. Lying to a dangerous person to protect a victim. Research shows even young children learn to tell white lies to make others feel better. Adults often see pro-social liars, people who lie to help others, as more moral than people who tell a harsh, hurtful truth. Articles aimed at the public say something similar. White lies to spare serious harm can be seen as compassionate, while selfish lies, to protect yourself or gain advantage, damage trust. So, modern psychology and everyday moral instincts are a lot softer than Kant. We're more likely to say, lying is usually wrong, unless it clearly prevents a serious harm, and you're not just protecting yourself. But it's not that simple either, because lying has costs. The hidden costs of lying, even good lies. Two big areas, relationships and yourself. On relationships, long-term studies show that when people manage to lie less over time, they report better mental and physical health and improve relationships. Lying less was linked to fewer conflicts, less stress, and feeling closer to others. So even if some lies feel helpful in the moment, a pattern of dishonesty quietly erodes trust. On yourself, Neuroscience research finds that the more we lie, the easier it gets. Repeated dishonesty dulls the brain's emotional response to lying, so it starts to feel less uncomfortable. Other work suggests lying can harm self-esteem and well-being, especially when you feel you're acting against your own values. So there's a tension. Being brutally honest all the time can hurt people and damage connection. Being too comfortable lying, even for good reasons, can bend your character and your relationships in ways that are hard to see until later. That's why some researchers say honesty is like a health habit. Overall, it protects you, but context matters. In some situations, raw honesty can do serious damage, and a carefully chosen lie might actually protect well-being. So where does that leave you at the door, with your friend in the closet and a killer asking questions? Let's get concrete. 3 levels of lying: selfish, soft, and sacrificial. It helps to separate different kinds of lies instead of treating them as one big blob. 1. Selfish lies. These protect you at the cost of someone else. Cheating on a test and lying about it. Lying to a partner to hide betrayal. Lying on a resume to get a job. These lies usually damage trust, harm others, and corrode your own integrity. They tend to wreck both relationships and your self-respect over time. Almost every moral system says these are bad. 2. Soft, the orange quartered of white lies. These are small lies meant to protect someone's feelings or smooth social life. No, I'm not mad. When you are. I love the gift. When you don't. You did great. When it was okay at best. Studies show that prosocial white lies can be seen as kind and moral, especially when they really do spare unnecessary harm. But they can backfire if they hide important truths people actually need to grow. 3. Sacrificial lies. These are lies where you are not the main beneficiary. You're lying to protect someone from serious harm, like a victim from a violent attacker. Lying to the Nazi at the door about hiding a family in your attic. Lying to an abuser about where a survivor is hiding. Misdirecting someone who clearly intends to hurt an innocent person. This is where many religious thinkers, ethicists, and ordinary people say, okay, this is different. Some argue that in cases like this, the duty to protect life overrides the duty to tell the truth. Lying becomes a tragic but necessary choice. Maybe still wrong in one sense, but the least wrong option in a world that's already morally broken. Others try to reframe it. You're not just deceiving the attacker. You might even be protecting them from committing a terrible act they'll regret for eternity. Kant still says no here. Most of the rest of us don't. So instead of looking for one rule that fits every case, it may be better to carry questions. 3 questions for real-life lying dilemmas. Next time you're tempted to lie and you can feel your brain starting to make excuses, try these 3. Question 1. Who does this lie really protect? Be brutally honest with yourself. If the main person being protected is you, your image, your comfort, your reputation, be suspicious. If the lie clearly protects someone else from serious, unfair harm, and you're not gaining much personally, it might belong in that sacrificial category. Example. Lying about where your friend is to an abusive ex, mostly about their safety. Lying about your location so you don't get in trouble for being late, mostly about your comfort. The first might be morally defensible. The second is almost certainly not. Question 2. What happens if this lie becomes a pattern? Zoom out from the single moment. Ask, if I lie like this every week for the next 5 years, what does that do to my life? Patterns matter more than one-offs. Habitual white lies about your feelings can slowly build a fake version of you in your relationships, so people love a version of you that isn't real. Habitual cheating lies can train your brain to see dishonesty as normal, and eventually you start losing track of who you are. On the flip side, if the lie is tied to a rare, extreme situation, like hiding someone from violence, you're not building a daily habit of deception. You're reacting to a crisis in a world already off the rails. Question 3. If the truth explodes later, will this lie destroy trust or save a life? This is hard, but important. Imagine your lie gets exposed. The full story comes out. People see your motives and the outcome. Will they say, "You lied to protect yourself and made things worse for everyone"? Wukamikazi. You lied to shield someone from real danger. I might not like it, but I understand why. Research suggests that people often judge pro-social liars more kindly than cold truth tellers, especially when the lie clearly prevented unnecessary harm. But if your lie blows up and people see that it was mainly about your ego or convenience, the damage to trust can be huge and long-term. So, should you lie to the murderer at the door? If someone is literally trying to kill your friend, and the only way to protect them is to deceive the attacker? Most people, including many ethicists, pastors, and philosophers today, would say, yes. Lie, protect the innocent. They don't say this lightly. They're not saying lying is suddenly good. They're saying, in a world that's already morally broken, sometimes the clean option doesn't exist. And in that moment, protecting a life weighs more than protecting a rule. Kant's challenge is still worth hearing, though. He reminds us, don't get comfortable with lying. Don't turn good motives into a blanket excuse. Don't underestimate how dishonesty can warp your character and relationships over time. Psychology backs him. Overall, less lying equals better health, better relationships, more well-being. So maybe the wise stance is this. Day to day, aim for radical honesty, especially with the people you love. Let truth be your default, even when it's awkward. In rare emergencies, when someone's life or safety is on the line and you're forced to choose, be willing to carry the moral weight of lying to protect them. And afterwards, don't brag about it. Don't let it turn into a habit. Instead, let it deepen your sense that we live in a world where sometimes there are no perfect options, only painful ones. The murderer at the door dilemma isn't there to give you a clean formula. It's there to make you ask, every time you're tempted to bend the truth, who am I becoming if I say this? Who am I betraying if I don't? And when I look back at this moment later, will I be able to live with the trade I just made?